Facebook. Hello, Lab Coat Agents. Good to see everybody today. It is Brian Curtis, Dale Archdekin, back for another riveting episode of Cash Call. I can't even tell you how excited Brian and I are to be here today.
Woohoo!
So I was watching last week. My wife watched the replay, and she's like, every time you guys are like, hey, we're live now. And so I tried not to do that this time, right? I wanted to pretend like I knew what was going on. It said live, and so I just start talking as though we're live. Right, so that's for my wife, so she can't make fun of me now.
Appreciate some feedback, and we're always willing to take feedback from smart people like your wife.
Right. Yes, there you go. Shameless plug for my wife.
Amen.
Good. So, Brian, I've got a call today that I'd like to listen to, a slightly different scenario. This is an ISA who has to call a lead and tell them that the property they wanted to go see is under agreement, but that they've found another property for them to go take a look at. And, obviously an ISA who has at least the skill level that we're going to hear, most people will be like, great, man, I'll take that person. Can we do that? But of course, you and I are here to help people improve their skills, and we can hear things. In doing these replays, we can hear things that we know could be done a little bit better or a little bit differently to a better outcome, right? So that's what I'm going to work on today.
Yeah, and I've got a call. It's a Zillow call, very direct situation. And I feel like maybe we talked the person out of an opportunity by providing them facts, and facts are great.
Dude, facts have killed so many dreams and sales. It's not even funny.
Yeah. So let's just make stuff up. It's better. I'm just kidding. But
never anyway. Let a good fact get in the way of a sale.
I mean, heck, we've seen that for the last 5 years in our country. I mean, facts don't mean anything. I'm just kidding. Let's not go down that road. All of you who are like,
oh God. No, oh God. All of a sudden the power got cut. We're no longer live. I don't know what happened.
We got turned off Facebook. But no, it's just, I'm not saying we don't give people facts, but we need to present them in a way that's palatable, because here's one of my favorite things, and I'm sure you know this. Inspectors do this to me all the time. Hey, that faceplate on the electrical outlet is broken, and that's a fire hazard. That's true, by the way. But the rest of the fact is, for 49 cents you can fix it, maybe not a crisis. So
you're missing you're missing that part.
Yeah. So, I'm not saying that we tell people lies. I'm not telling them that we don't present facts, but present them in a way, I don't know, with a solution. So anyway.
Yeah. Good. All right. So I'll go first if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Let me get this over here. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Make sure I do this right. So we're just going to jump in. I've teed it up a little bit here. I gave you what the scenario is. ISA is calling back a lead, wanted to see something. It's under agreement because the market's moving fast. ISA is trying to get her to go see something else.
Perfect.
Everything is selling so fast. And that one now on Yellow Star is also under contract. It just went under contract yesterday. But I did want to tell you, there is, we do have something called our private listing network, which is like properties that are coming soon. And a lot of our buyers, it's helping them a lot. I can send you a link to get on it. It's called Zenlist. And you'll be able to see properties that are coming soon. And there is another one on Yellow Star at 2592 Yellow Star that is coming soon. It's in that private listing network, coincidentally. And, we might be able to get you in there early before everybody else. What do you think about that?
All right. So now we made the ask. Now what's going to happen is the lead is going to start trying to qualify or disqualify this property. What's that, Brian?
That we don't even have listed yet.
That we don't have, that's not listed yet and isn't ours. Is coming soon.
We might be able to get you in there early before everybody else. What do you think about that?
Is it a two-car garage?
It is. It's a ranch.
It is.
It's a ranch. Two-car garage.
Do you have something with the description of it and everything?
Well, I do. I'm going to send you a link to the app, and then I can send you the listing. But there's not, unfortunately, the agent hasn't put much info in it at all. Like, there's no remarks. And there's only...
I'm going to let this play to see if she goes for another bite at another swipe at getting this scheduled. But I have feedback already.
There's a picture of the front. Well, and that's it. Just one picture of the exterior on the front, but it's very similar to the other one. And I'll send it over to you, and I'll highlight this one. And if you want to get in to see that, we can schedule that. Is Friday the soonest you could go?
Yeah, because I work during the week. And today, I'm in the store talking to you.
Oh, yeah? Where do you work?
Okay, now we're getting more into rapport building and stuff. So she did take another swipe at it, right? Which she pivoted into as Friday the earliest you can go see it, but it was a little bit rocky there where she's getting stuck behind this. Let me look at more information about the property and make a decision. And, you know, I don't know about you, Brian, but we've already established this is a really fast moving market. That's why you missed the other one, right? Hey, I mean, I think it should sound a little bit more like, you know, there isn't much of a description here. And frankly, you know, you need to walk through a property to decide whether it's going to work for you anyway. With the market moving as fast as it is, let's get you lined up to go see this one. And if it doesn't work out, no problem. But if it does, at least we'll be there before it gets snatched away from you again.
Okay. Well, I have a lot of other problems because apparently that's who I am today. So
go for it.
Here's the first question. So they have a private listing network. Okay, that's awesome. By the way, I love that. That makes you can be part of something exclusive, some opportunity. Thumbs up on that. And then
these people are in a market where that isn't, you know, a problem. It's a third party service. It's not. She's not like making that up.
I'm not saying she was, but here's the problem. She touted it, and then she turned around and bashed on it. She said, we got this great opportunity. Oh, by the way, this agent didn't do very good. He only put one picture up. He didn't put anything in the description. Like, right. You can't say something's awesome and then turn around and say something sucks. So don't do that. Say, you know, you can clean that up. Hey, by the way, so this property hasn't been updated just yet. You know, I'm sure later on in the week we'll get a little bit more information about it, something like that. But for the love of God, don't bash on something you just said was a great opportunity, because I don't think I want to be in your private network. So anyway, that was one of the things that I heard. Here's another thing that really, I wrote this, took some notes. Let me pull that up. We missed an opportunity to meet with this client at the pending house. Yes,
she should not have called up and dropped that.
I mean, you were 22 seconds into the call before she knew it was pending. It's like, I don't know what the first 22 seconds of that phone call was, but you started that call at 22 seconds. And we're all right. That property's pending. That's how that call started.
Yeah. There wasn't anything else. It was just who this was. And she was calling about the appointment that we made on Friday. That's what it was.
Okay. So, you know, spend a little bit of time looking that up or faking it, or, I mean, just spend some time to build some rapport. But again,
this was a callback. I'm sorry. This was a call. So what happened was they had an initial call. The person wanted to go see it. ISA set the appointment. Great. I have you. So-and-so is going to show it to you on Friday. Then agent is like, wait a minute, that one went under. I can't show it. She's back to you. You take care of it. So ISA had to come back, clean it up, and then try to move it forward.
It's a little different scenario, but for all those you guys watching, don't give up on the idea of meeting the person at a pending property. I know it can be challenging. I know not all listing agents will do it, but I'm telling you right now, and I'm not proud of this number, but it's a number. I'm tracking my terminations year to date, 1 out of 5. In other words, if we put 5 houses under contract, one of those is going to terminate. And I've talked to people across the country. That is not bad numbers right now. Like it's not like my market or my team is doing badly. That's pretty standard stuff across the market. So you got a 20% chance this thing's going to terminate. So don't miss that opportunity. And I know it's a little different scenario here. Here's the other thing that I don't understand, but for those of you watching, make sure that you're not doing this. We did this, I think, knock on wood, I stopped it. The MLS Fair Cooperation Policy. So are you even allowed to show coming soons?
I don't know. That's up in their market. That's their market, whatever is going on with them.
So the reason I bring that up is the MLS Fair Cooperation Policy says you cannot. So if you've got a listing agreement signed with somebody and you're a part of NAR, make sure that you understand what those rules are. And a lot of people don't. And it's just a fair, if that's the rule, then we all need to play by that rule. And again, there could be different things market to market, but National Association of Realtors says if you got a listing agreement, you can't show that property. And here's where that comes from. I think a lot of agents are missing this. Oh, I'm going to go show that property. I'm going to get it sold for them in a day. Well, that crap. My 20-year-old who can't spell real estate can do that. That's not the hard part of this deal. The hard part of this deal is getting that person the best deal with the 30 offers that you're going to get. And so showing this property just to internal agents, in my opinion, is a complete lack of fiduciary to that seller. So if I only let the 30 people on my team show that property, there's 3,200 people who also have clients who didn't get access to it. So just be careful with that. I know that's not really a cash call type conversation, but I think it's important because there's people who listen to that and go, yeah, I'm going to do that too. Make sure you understand what the rules are inside your board and make sure that we're representing who we're representing on a very, very high level. It's not fair to a seller. Every time I see this, oh, I sold that house in 2 hours. My first thought right now is, oh, good. You cost your seller 20 grand because you sold it in 2 hours and you didn't. Now there's exceptions, but you get what I'm getting to. So anyway, just make sure that you're doing that and giving those, just following the rules and we all got to play nice together. So
yeah, absolutely agreed. We generally do not promote people not following the rules.
So and again, and I'm going to assume for the sake of our conversation, this person followed every rule that happens inside of her MLS, and maybe we don't know about that. So and again, pocket listings is my understanding. If you have a pocket listing, you don't have an MLS, you don't have a listing agreement signed, you can show that. And there's huge opportunities. In
my market, if you have an MLS waiver, you can do the same thing.
You can also do MLS waivers.
And my understanding from this call is that it is not their listing.
Right.
It literally is listed as a coming soon on that third party site and in fact, I think with that third party, a lot of those are either institutional sellers who aren't listing them with an agent, or they are individual owners, almost like a make me move kind of thing from back in the day.
Gotcha. And again, I just wanted to bring that up because that was a red flag for me. And maybe because it happened to my team 2 days ago, maybe that's why it was a red flag. Like, hey, that sounds familiar to me. So maybe that's what that was about. But
yeah, that sucks. Listen, man, it's definitely a dogfight out there these days.
Absolutely. And again, I'm all about, just like Dale is, finding solutions to problems, but just make sure you're staying inside the rules. You don't want to be that agent who gets marked off as, oh yeah, Brian, he just keeps all his house, does everything in-house. And that's not something you want people to think.
Unfortunately, right. I wish there was a way to take care of some of those people in our market, but they just keep selling houses for the last 30 years. I don't know how.
Yeah, amazing. All right. Well, would you like me to play my call?
Let's go for yours.
All right. Like I mentioned, this is a Zillow call, and I think there's some real opportunity to learn here. And I think I forgot to hit a button. So let me try this again. Share screen. I always forget to click that share the sound button. All right. Yeah. I've already fast forwarded through names, so hopefully you won't hear anything here.
So I just got the details that you wanted to be scheduled to see a house around on the 12th at 5. So today at 5.
It was 5:30 was the time I selected. But if you could tell me if the backyard is fenced and what kind of fencing, that might change everything. Because if it's not fenced, I'm not interested.
Okay, that's fine. I can look it up and see if that's the case or if it's not the case.
Okay.
If that's not the case, then we can look at some other ones.
Well, I just saw this one because the price was good, and my landlord just raised my rent again. So we're not like in a rush. We weren't really ready. I just signed up for Zillow foolishly, and it keeps sending me stuff. And this one was.
Oh, okay, got it.
I thought that was an interesting comment. And let me say, the way that he handled that, I like conceptually what he did. Hey, by the way, if we can't see this house, let's find you some other ones. Instead of doing that, though, I would have actually preferred he said, well, I'm looking that up. What are you guys looking for? And again, it wasn't a horrible question. At least he didn't say, well, I guess we won't go look at houses then. I mean, I really appreciate, and we've heard people say that, right?
Yeah. I think what I would have done is if she said, hey, I want to know if it's fenced, because if it's not fenced, then it's not an option for me. I would have said, okay, great. We can definitely figure that out. Are there any other non-negotiables for you? So it's got to have a fence. What else does it need to have? Just so I can make sure we're checking the boxes.
Yeah. And guys, and we've been talking about this a lot. Go to the next question. And if you don't take anything away from cash call for the next 6 months, go to the next question, because that next question is so unbelievably valuable. And so many people go, okay, they don't need a fence. And now the only thing we're focused on is fence. Well, she also needed a 3-car garage and, a swimming pool. I don't know. I didn't, but nonetheless, you get stuck in what you know. And we all know what happens when we make assumptions. So again, great idea. Let's just ask a slightly better question here. So we'll play a little bit more.
I understand. So let me ask you this: when do you think you're going to be ready?
We're hoping later this year to be able to. But if this one is perfect, if we find it's the one, we would proceed now if it meets, if it's everything we want it to be. So.
Let me ask you this. Do you have extra cash?
Okay, before he goes into this, because this is the part that frustrates me.
You have extra cash.
But when somebody says, I could buy right now, but I'm going to wait through the end of the year, what's the question we should ask that person?
What's important, or what's happening at the end of the year?
Right. Or, I'll even make it simpler. Why? Out of curiosity, why? Because he didn't ask, and again, she might say blah, 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 blah. And then you go, like, yeah, but here's this and this and this. So it's a pseudo objection, because she said if she found the perfect house, she'd buy now, which is, theoretically this one. But don't forget, again, guys, ask that next question. So you'd be willing to buy right now, but you're going to wait. What's the significance of waiting through the end of the year? What's the benefit to waiting to the end of the year? Whatever that version of that question is, you got to do that. So, and now we're going to go into the part that makes my head hurt a little bit.
Extra cash right now. That's why we.
Okay. So, what's the price range that this house is in?
It was 194.5, I think.
190. So right around the 200 mark. Mm-hmm. Okay, so any house right now that's in the 200s, it's going for about 10 to 15 over asking price, sometimes 20.
Oh wow!
Which has to be paid for either most of the time in cash, because the loan's not going to cover the other piece of it unless it appraises for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do not like this at all.
So
that's like Brian.
Okay.
The best thing to do.
That's like, if we're going to make a baby together, I have this part and you have that part, and we're going to have to, you know what I'm saying? Like TMI, bro, like way too early. Okay. Let's not do that yet.
Yeah, so I just met you. It's our first date. Maybe we shouldn't talk about the babies just yet, right?
It's our first date. Let's talk about the birds and the bees. No, not unless you're 90 years old and you got no time to spare.
So here's another thing, and I'm sure that a lot of people listening may have even missed this. Listen, and if you play this back or whatever, listen to the frustration in his voice, the disappointment in his voice, he might as well just said, "Ah, shit." He didn't, but he might as well have said, "Ah, shit." So why am I pointing that out? Well, 50% of communication on the phone is not the words. It's how you say it. It's the tone. It's the inflection. It's the speed. It's the volume. It's not the words. So don't wear your heart on the sleeve. I'm disappointed too when I'm talking to somebody who I thought was a great lead and they've got 12 cents in the bank. I'm disappointed by that. Right. But here's another thing, and we talked about this in our team meeting today. Sometimes magically, I'm cruising along and I don't got any money. We've written 3 offers. We've lost them all. And then you go to the next one and you say, well, Dale, I appreciate it, but, please understand that there's a real possibility that if we don't do the appraisal gap, and I know you don't have any, well, yeah, but my mom gave me 10 grand last night. Oh, really? Because you didn't have any money yesterday. And by the way, you should have told me that. But my point is, this is what we're seeing. And I don't know if you're seeing it in the people you're talking to. initially nobody's got extra money to cover appraisal gaps. And after they lose 3 offers, somehow magically they find $10,000, $15,000, $20,000
in the couch.
Right. And again, that's not going to happen with every single buyer, but please understand, just because they said they don't have any money, you don't necessarily give up on them. And here's the rest of this. Eventually, and we've talked about this a couple of times, eventually the market's going to open up again. So if you're the agent who is willing to suffer through some of this pain, and it is painful, they're going to stick with you because you did the hard work with them. And then come October, you're going to have the greatest month of your life.
Yeah. And listen, if they tell you they don't have any money, in the conversation, go back and focus on the why, right? If the pain is big enough, usually they can find the way to make it happen. And they'll be willing to put their brain power into figuring out, how can I make this happen if the pain is big enough? Now, sometimes there are people who do have a big pain, but they have no family, no friends, they're on disability, like they really can't come up with the nickels to do it. Yeah. But a lot of people can. Somehow they can put their brain to it. So focus on the thing that will make them do that, which is their need.
Right. In essence, what Dale is talking about, and a little preview for something Dale and I are going to do together. One of those is a condition. Like all my family, I have no family, and I can't borrow any money. Nobody knows me. I've got $50 in the bank. Okay. That's a condition. I can't overcome that. Like that's a thing, but sometimes it's an objection hidden as a condition. And so we got to go deeper. We got to understand, and then we can find out more of the truth. And of course that requires rapport building. And this call's 3 minutes and 43 seconds long. We're probably not going to do enough rapport building in 3 minutes to do that. But again, that's why we go meet people in person. That's why it's so important to meet people in person. I can't tell you, and I'm sure you've had the same experience, how many people's information changed after we spent a couple hours together. So,
oh man, it's crazy. Like even just between setting an appointment with somebody, especially listing appointments, setting a listing appointment with somebody over the phone and then showing up, that a lot of times the story changes. A lot of details of that story change a lot, which is one of the struggles that we have for ISAs learning how to set appointments for agents. Because ISA is like, agent comes back, that was a crap appointment. What do you mean that was a crap appointment? This is what they told me. And agent's like, well, they told me different over here. And you're like, guys, that's what happens, right? This how you could be the same person setting that appointment, going on the appointment, and you're going to have 2 different people talking to you.
Yeah. And so that's, like I say, that's not necessarily anyone's fault. It happens. So let's listen just a little bit more of this, and then we'll button up.
And that type of situation would be to wait for the market, which I can still help you after that time frame, or just, save your money as much as possible. So, because right now it's just I would say just like a regular loan, even a conventional loan, it'd be hard for me to get you anything.
Okay.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Do you have any questions or anything like that for me?
No, that's it.
You just told me you can't do anything for me. I don't have any questions.
Yeah. I'll tell you if it's fenced, and if you still want to meet with me there, I can meet with you. I'll meet with you one time at a house just to show you around and see.
There's the Brian Curtis influence.
And then, for basically, I'll meet with you for future reference.
So here's the difference.
I've just lit you on fire as a lead, but I'll go meet with you.
Well, and here's the thing. It's 100% true that you get the first one for free. And I'm a firm believer in that. But you don't tell the lead. I mean, well, my boss tells me that I've got to show you at least one house before he gets pissed off at me.
Even though I think I've just told you a complete waste of time. I told you I would do it. He told me I got to do it.
So a couple of things. We need to value people. And here's the thing, the flip side to this, I had this conversation. One of my agents called me this morning. We were talking about something. She goes, man, I got a $30,000 lead. And I spent 20 minutes on the phone with her. And I said, look, do her and you a favor. She's like, what do you mean? A $30,000 lead can't buy anything in our market. So just be honest with her. Say, Susie, I appreciate it, but there is literally no houses in our market for $30,000. So I appreciate they have $30,000 cash and you can't get financing, but unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that. You don't have to do you can respect somebody in that situation, right. Respect yourself and say,
Susie, let's talk about where we're going to come up with the other 100. Where
right,
can we do that?
What can we do to potentially get you in a situation where you might be able to finance? Well, I'm retired. Okay, well, like, you know, I mean, and sometimes there's conditions. When you run up against actual conditions, make sure they're conditions and move on. You don't have to have a 20-minute conversation with someone who can't afford to pay attention. That's not required. And, you know, we don't have to do that.
Or tell them that you're willing to waste your time because your boss said so.
But at the end of the day, when you get off the phone with somebody, they should feel like you cared about them. They should feel like your ability to buy or not buy was not contingent upon me spending some time with you. You know, in other words,
I think your guy, listening to your guy, he cared about the person. He genuinely wants to help this person. Mm-hmm. I just think that the methodology or the wording didn't come out the right way.
Yeah. And you know, that's the problem though. At the end of the day, if I'm the other end of that phone call, what I heard personally was, well, I'll go show it to you because I said I would. I really don't want to. So,
if I haven't convinced you that you're a waste of time yet, I'll go show it to you.
Right. So let me say this. Don't talk yourself out of business. There's an opportunity here with this individual. I don't know what it is. And guess what? The reason I don't know what it is we didn't spend enough time finding out what it is.
Right.
So, and again, this person says, I mean, I want to kiss this person's butt, to be honest. She said that she's going to buy a house sometime this year. So, and this is one of the few times where I might, you know, I don't have any cash. I don't like that question. But since we asked it, have you talked to a lender? No, we haven't talked to a lender. So why don't we get you with a lender to help make a plan? So, because we didn't go deep enough on that question either. Does that mean that they're looking for 100% financing? Are they VA? Are they looking for rural property, the USDA? Or do they not even know that you need a down payment? Or do they have $25,000 that they're putting as a down payment and that's why they don't have any money?
Right.
Like maybe they got plenty of money. Maybe we move them from a 10% down to a 3% down, and now they got $10,000 to cover the appraisal gap, and they've got money. So maybe they want to talk to their lender.
Even like people have money. Like they either have rent money, and if they got to move, they have a first, last, and security deposit, which in a lot of markets will buy you a house for your 3.5% down and some closing costs, right? Mm-hmm. Provided that you're not in an exceptionally competitive market. But point is, most people have some kind of money they can get to, and it doesn't take a whole lot of money to get into a deal, provided that you aren't super picky or trying to, you know, purchase something that everybody else wants.
Yeah. And I don't think this person was super picky. I mean, she literally says, I want to buy this house if it has a fence. So that's a pretty strong lead, and we've got to treat that person like they have
call
value.
her. Has anybody called her back to do a better better discovery?
I don't know. I just found this call very, very recently. So,
Kathy loves how entertaining you are. Kathy, are you talking to me or Brian? I think I'm more entertaining than he is. I'm going to take that one. Thank you.
I'm snarkier than you, I think, but that's okay.
Brian,
I guess it depends on your depends on your interpretation of what's funny, I guess. So
I guess anyway, yes, sense of humor. Kathy, you can vote later on which of us is funnier.
That's right. We'll do a poll here later. Both are especially you, Dale. You won.
Oh, there we go.
Kathy, I love you anyway.
Checks in the mail, Kathy.
All right. Well, listen, I appreciate it. I think this was a great cash call, and I'm done.
Excellent. Good seeing everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Next week, we have a special guest, I believe, right? I tend to get these things screwed up, Brian. But
next week,
I believe we have a special guest next week from Ylopo, no other than Ylopo. They're a big lead provider in the market these days, and they're doing some really innovative stuff. So we're going to be talking to Gabe Cordova, who is going to be talking about Ylopo and some of the fancy stuff they do out there. So join us next week.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I've known Gabe now for probably 5 or 6 years. If you think Dale and I are entertaining, come next week, because Gabe's a heck of a lot of fun. I've never had a dull moment with him. So it's it's worth your time just for the entertainment value.
There you go. Excellent. Join us next week. See you, everybody.
Thanks.